With us now is Ann Coulter, the best-selling author of In Trump We Trust, E Pluribus Awesome. Did I get it right this week, Ann?
Yes, you did. I'm so proud of you.
Thank you. Thank you. Listen, a few stories to just bounce off you. Lawrence Mann, it turns out to be a Dominican national who's been deported twice, pleads guilty to federal fentanyl heroin charges. Here's another one. Immigrant arrested in bludgeoning death of NYU professor pleads self-defense. Okay.
Wow.
Yes, here's another one. Asylum seekers rape murder royals Germany. This is someone from Iraq came into the country and raped and murdered a 14-year-old girl. And on Thursday in U.S. District Court here in Boston, a judge magistrate, formerly known as a clerk magistrate, as you know, Ann, released a 9 times deported Mexican, 3 times arrested for drunk driving, domestic abuser, drug dealer. ICE begged to release him to them for custody for deportation, and the judge, who used to be a public defender for a serial killer named Stevie Flemmi, cut him loose.
Wow. Somebody's going to die. I mean, that incessant drunk driving, that isn't something that stops. And you'll know who to blame. The next child who's run over.
Yes. Well, she lives in
a head-on accident.
She lives in West Newton, so her chances of having herself or some member of her family killed by a drunk driving illegal are lesser than people who live in more affected communities.
Yeah, well, liberals are happy to pay the cost of mass immigration because they're the ones who are never paying the cost.
Right. Exactly. So, did you see about the Twitter CEO, Ann? You talk about political correctness running amok?
Wait, he apologized for eating at Chick-fil-A?
Yeah.
Why do we hate Chick-fil-A again? I can't keep the hatred straight.
They're Christians. They believe in traditional marriage.
Oh, okay, thank you. That cuts right to the chase.
And I think too, they don't open on Sunday either. So in other words, they give, they're committed to family values, right? They give their workers, all of them, 1 day off a week, right?
Wow. And I mean, who would care, apologize for what you want to apologize for, except that this is right at a time when, well, all social media, but Twitter in particular, is getting pretty aggressive about censoring particular viewpoints, not people who are going online or on Twitter, looking for underage kids to molest or looking for banks they can rob, or homes they can burglarize, but just people, or even cursing, or making personal insults at people. Only Twitterers with the wrong opinions are being either outright banned or shadow banned. I mean, I really loved this decision. I don't know if we talked about it before, but a federal court finding that Donald Trump could not block people on Twitter because Twitter is a public forum. So we have a federal court ruling that Twitter is, which I think it is, with or without this ruling. I was really hoping we could get a little farther down this line and get a lot of courts to hold that because they thought they were sticking it to Donald Trump before any of them realized, we just said Twitter's a public forum. We have to apply First Amendment rules to them now. But unfortunately, the New York Times is on to us. They didn't figure it out as quickly as I did, and probably a lot of people who were worried about being banned from social media. But they had an article last week saying, no, liberals, it's worth being banned by Trump. We can't get Twitter called a public forum because then they won't be able to ban conservatives.
Well, here's the thing, Ann, though. Also this is a badge of honor by these people to be banned by Trump. You've seen these descriptions. You describe yourself on Twitter, and some of them say blocked by Donald Trump. I mean, that's the first item on their curriculum vitae. Their resume. They were blocked by Donald Trump. So now what are they going to do?
Doesn't that solve all problems with the alleged harassment? And again, the people being banned from Twitter are not being banned. They're not having their tweets removed. They're not being disciplined because they've targeted someone for a mean tweet. And, if that were the ground, I don't look at my replies, but I hear about them from my friends who do look at them, and not because I'm against looking at them. I'm just busy. Wow! Every time I hear about this, I do go on, or at least I try to. As I say, I've been busy. I try to go on and find the particularly vicious tweets to me, and just immediately report, 10 liberals.
Hey, what about the New York Times?
Which I wouldn't care about. I wouldn't do it. It's purely retaliatory.
What about the New York Times standing by their reporter who was sleeping with her source, who was 35 years older than she was, and she's just getting all these handouts, and then she's tweeting out saying, "I think these leaks are coming from Trumpster lawyers," as she put them, and when she's getting them from her 35-year senior boyfriend,
It reminds me once again. Thank you, Jeff Sessions. Maybe the president could lay off the one guy in the administration who's doing anything good. He's the one who busted her.
Yeah, and apparently they've been running sting operations. That there's speculation. This is how they got Bloomberg on the Deutsche Bank fake news. This is how they got Brian Ross on the fake news about Flynn. They're putting out these fake stories just to see where they go, and they're bagging them one after another. And I gotta believe, Ann, that the anti-Trump leaks are going to start drying up rather rapidly now that this guy Wolf is in the dock.
Well, they really ought to throw the book at him. This is a serious matter, and you punish one person harshly, and that will dry it up. No more. Wrist slaps for this kind of thing.
Yeah, and all the leaks that this guy was sending out, oddly enough, Ann, they were all anti-Trump leaks.
Yeah.
Isn't that funny? Well,
I've noticed that generally about the leaks coming out. I think they have a lot of people to catch. Luckily, we have Jeff Sessions there as Attorney General to go and catch them all.
Are you
Despite the antics of Paul Ryan trying to sneak through some kind of crazy amnesty as we head into the summertime and the Congress isn't getting the rest of its work done, Ann Coulter seems to be in a remarkably good mood based on her last column, which is absolutely a hoot. Ann, I don't know whether it's right to read your column as an indication of how you're feeling, but there are weeks you are very serious, with occasional bursts of humor. And then there are columns like this one that just make you laugh all the way through them. Welcome back to the program, by the way.
Thank you. Thank you for welcoming me back, and thank you for saying that about my column, though my column makes an important point that I know I've been yammering about for years now, so it doesn't seem like news to you, but it's one of those counterintuitive things that does have to be, I think, renewed now and then, and that is the idea that the reason we have civil rights laws is because of slavery and the legacy of Jim Crow, and which, by the way, was entirely instigated and promoted by Democrats. We've had this consistent problem in America of having a lot of trouble getting Democrats to stop discriminating against blacks. So Republicans, with a little help from Democrats, a few, passed, these massive civil rights laws in the 60s that abrogated traditional concepts of things like freedom of association and property rights. In this one case, in this one special, unique, historically different from any other case, we were going to tell owners of restaurants and hotels, we don't care if this is your private property, no discriminating against black people, and clubs and universities and so on and so forth. No, we do have freedom of association as a general matter in our Constitution, but not when it comes to discriminating against black people. Democrats, per their usual history, blew that off. They were never really interested in black people to begin with, and instantly took civil rights, the concept of civil rights, as a great gig to start pushing their most grotesque and preposterous ideas. Abortion, partial birth abortion, gays marrying one another, gays forcing Christians to bake cakes for them, smelly homeless people in libraries in New Jersey. That was a federal judge, the famous Lee Sirican. It became an issue back during the Clinton administration when the public library in New Jersey kept excluding a smelly homeless person who was staring and frightening the other patrons. And Judge Sirican, then a district court judge, said, no, This is a violation of the Equal Protection Clause of the Constitution. Why do we have an Equal Protection Clause? Because it was a result of the Civil War. Again, there was one specific group we were talking about here. But liberals